Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the This is the Music Meets Podcast, an independent podcast show that shines a light on rising indie and alternative artists from across the UK and Ireland. If you are new to the podcast, then please hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any future episodes. And it would be fantastic if you could leave a comment, as it really does help us beat the algorithms. It's now time for episode 115. And I'm delighted to be joined by rising singer-songwriter in Elijah Jenkins. Over the course of today's podcast, we're going to talk about Elijah's new single, Made of Moments, his forthcoming show at the Lions Den in Manchester, plus much, much more. So Elijah, it's a very warm welcome to This is the Music Meets Podcast. How are you doing today, mate?
I'm very well, Mark. Thank you very much for having me on.
Brilliant. Well, it's great to hear. It's brilliant as well to have you on the podcast. I know obviously we've been chatting a little bit off screen and on the socials and that. Obviously you've been at Kendal Calling over the past sort of couple of days. So how was it for you? Because the lineup of looking into it looked really, really good.
Yeah, it was a great weekend, and I went with my mum and dad actually, so it was good for them to go to a festival, because my mum hasn't been to a festival since she was young, and it was actually my dad's first festival. And they're both big fans, as am I, of a lot of the artists who are on, such as Keane, Noel and Paolo Nutini. So it was great to hear the songs with them, and we had a really good weekend. It was fantastic, and it was good to see some new up-and-coming bands as well that I have never seen play live before, who I'll definitely be seeing again in the future.
Yeah, sure. Who I was going to ask you actually, did you get to see any like new discoveries? So yeah, who did you manage to check out?
Well, I know they're quite a big band at the minute, but the Royston Club I hadn't seen before. I only have got into them, I'd probably say, in the last 2 or 3 months, and their debut album is fantastic. And then to hear it live as well was just amazing. And Tom is a great showman at what he does, and they were arguably one of the best sets of the weekend. They were really up there with the likes of Noel and Paolo.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, that's good to hear. And if anyone's not checked them out, then sounds like you should. So yeah, and obviously I've got to ask you, because obviously as it is happening at the moment over in Paris, have you been able to watch any of the Olympics so far?
I've not watched a lot of it, to be honest. I've only really seen the highlights of it when I've been tuning in to watch the news. I did see the highlights of the Alcaraz-Djokovic game, though, in the tennis, and that was a really good game, because they've had many great games over the past couple of years, like at Wimbledon. But it was good to see Djokovic win, because I think he's completed all of tennis now by winning that gold medal. So congrats to him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I didn't realise actually that he'd never won gold before. So yeah, it must be a big old motivation, I guess, because he's often into his late 30s now. Not that you should stop just because you're in your late 30s playing sport, but obviously fantastic for him, as you say, effectively completed tennis now. So obviously back to you. We've obviously got a lot to talk about in terms of your new single, Made of Moments, obviously, that came out just a couple of weeks ago. But before we do jump onto that, and obviously all the other songs as well that you've put out so far, let's go right back to the very, very beginning. So how did you sort of, first get into music? Was there a particular band, like maybe an album or a song that you heard? How did it start off for you?
Music was something that was always on in the house for as long as I can remember. Like artists such as Paolo Nutini, and then the Only by the Night album by Kings of Leon was also quite a big influence. And then growing up, my granddad had a guitar. He still plays to this day. So seeing him do that, I was always eager to learn. But I didn't really properly start learning guitar till I was about 12 or 13.
Right.
Then my granddad bought me my first Fender acoustic guitar as a birthday present.
Nice.
Obviously, growing up in Manchester, you can't really get away from the music. It almost does pull you in. Like, the city has created so many fantastic bands such as the Cortinas, Oasis, the Stone Roses, and then obviously in Stockport, which is where I'm from, we've had Blossoms, and they did that Edgerley Park gig, which is like 2 minutes away from where I used to live.
Wow.
So all of them bands have really been a real motivator for me. And my mum's side of the family are from Liverpool, so I've always like everyone from Liverpool always plays the Beatles to you, and that's a lot of the stuff my granddad played me on guitars, and that was it really. That is my first memories of music, and then picking up a guitar in my early teens.
Yeah. Wow. What a start in terms of those artists that you've mentioned, and sort of being out learning, and what a fantastic guitar as well. For the first one. So in terms of you know, making your own music, how quickly, you said you were about 12 there, I think you said, when you got your first guitar, the sort of how quickly from that point, you obviously started learning, like everybody, Oasis, Beatles, etc. So at what point then did you decide, oh, do you know what, actual fact, I want to start writing my own music? And so when did that happen?
When I first started to write music that I'm releasing today, it was only about a year to 18 months ago when I moved to university.
Right.
I just found that I had a lot more spare time on my hands. And when I had that, it gave me a real opportunity to reflect on things that had happened in life. And, some people keep a diary, write blogs. The way I find to get my emotions out and to give a message is to put it on a guitar and create some lyrics to it. I was always into music during school as well. I was never one of them kids who was like brilliant at maths. The best hour of the week for me was in music, where I could just sit on a guitar for an hour.
Yeah, I could definitely share your thoughts there towards maths.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. So we're obviously going to talk a little bit about the new single. Obviously, we're going to go a little bit out of sync here, because we're going to concentrate on that first. It's called Made of Moments. It came out just over a couple of weeks ago, and it's just gone past the 6,000 Spotify stream mark, which is a fantastic achievement. So congratulations, firstly, on that. But can you just sort of like tell us a little bit about the track in terms of, like the inspiration, and maybe like the lyrical content behind it?
A lot of the inspiration behind the track is almost just realizing that you do only get one shot at life. And the lyric of won't you take away the pain whilst I dream of yesterday, obviously when people reflect on their life, they can almost see a lot of pain, but it's about moving forward and knowing that you're going to have many more great moments in your life. And even though you don't know what is to come, it's always best to focus on the future and not dwell on the past.
Yeah, sure. Okay. That's I mean, I agree there with you. I think you should try and live life to the full in terms of, what your interests are, and all that sort of stuff. But are you where are you recording these sort of tunes? Are they, is it in a studio? Are you doing it, all on your own? How's that process working for you?
So when I first wrote Made of Moments in my uni room, I came home for the Easter holidays, and I just started playing it at a few open mics. And then one of our friends owns a bar in town in Chester, so I went there, played a gig, and I was very lucky to meet Roger Hughes, who owns the Attic Studios. He offered to record the song for me, mix and master it. He was really into my stuff, and I really loved being in the studio with Roger. It was a whole new experience for me, rather than just playing live or playing in my bedroom. And Roger is encyclopedic about the studio. He's coming up with words and I don't know what they mean, but I'm like, that sounds great. As long as it's sounding good through the ears, that is one of the only things that matters. But he's fantastic. So a lot of credit to Roger for the way the songs sound, and that's who I've been working with for my other previous releases as well. And I'll definitely be going back there in the next couple of months as I've got some exciting songs lined up.
Brilliant. That sounds fantastic. But so I just want to just go pick you up on something there that you said. So you obviously you played Made of Moments on a sorry, an open mic night. So was that kind of like a first open mic session you'd ever done? What was or you know you'd already done a couple by this point?
I'd played a few open mics before, but it was the first open mic night where I took my own material.
Right.
So
Okay. Wow.
I was quite nervous. I was like, this isn't just a cover of like Oasis, which everyone's going to know and sing along to. This is
Yeah.
like your own stuff. So I was a bit nervous, but they went down well. And then I spoke with Rog, and then we organised the recording and the mixing and mastering of the songs.
Wow. That's mad. Like that's like in a good way, mad. That's
Yeah,
blowing
yeah,
my mind to like know that you know you just decided that that was it. You were gonna you know get up and just do your own stuff as a you know something different. I guess but, you know a few more songs being written, and then just like that, someone said, "Come down and you know we'll get it recorded." Wow, that's amazing.
yeah. It's a great studio. Anyone in the Northwest area, I'd 100% recommend working with Roger. He's fantastic.
Yeah, sure, okay, brilliant. Well, we'll give. Sorry, you said it was the attic, right?
Yeah, the Attic Studios.
The attic, brilliant with Attic Studio. So we'll give that, yeah, little shout out there for you,
Yeah.
Rog. So yeah, nice one. Sounds like you've got a great thing going on there. So as I said at the before, we asked a question about Made of Moments. Obviously, said we're going to go a little bit out of sync, which we did. So we're now going to rewind to a sort of what was it? Must be about 4 or 5 months ago now, I think roughly, with your debut release, which was called Start Again. That's obviously gone just over the 12,000 Spotify stream mark as well, which again is another fantastic moment. So, how did you know that was the right song to release as the first Elijah Jenkins song?
I only really decided to that Start Again would be the first single quite late on because I recorded the EP as a batch of 5 songs, and I was just sat there wondering what is going to be first. And I don't really know why I decided to choose Start Again, but I'm really glad I did. And the writing process of that song is quite a funny story. I was having my tea one night and I just had the chord progression that I play in the chorus in my head. I'd been working on it all day. And I put my tea down and my dad gave me a weird look. He was like, "What are you doing?" And within about 20 minutes, Start Again had been written. And it was just one of them songs that falls out the sky.
Yeah,
Didn't
yeah,
take a lot
yeah,
of like it wasn't one of these songs where you spend a couple of days, a couple of weeks crafting it. It just fell out the sky.
yeah, and sort of talking about that. Then you're saying there that that one took about 20 minutes to sort of write. Do you? I guess would you prefer that that was always the way of writing rather than you said there maybe like a couple of weeks? Is there a preference or is it just like, well, if it happens, it happens. I'm not just gonna, write out some random lyrics just for the sake of doing a song in 20 minutes.
Yeah, as great it is to have a song fall out of the sky like Start Again did. My third single, 180 Degrees, was a couple of weeks crafting that song. I had the chorus and the bridge, but the two verses just won't. I was just there scratching my head, thinking, "Oh, this is never going to happen," and then it did. But it's good to have patience with these things, and you know, the people have really liked 180 Degrees as well.
Yeah.
So it's I don't really have a set structure of the way I write songs. It's just it happens.
Yeah, yeah, no, sure, fair enough. And looking across what you've put out so far, it's probably quite a tough question to answer, really. But have you got a favourite track at all? Like, if you were to introduce yourself to the listeners now, and you were to say, right, if you go and listen to one of my songs first, my recommendation would be, what would
I'd
you
say
say?
start. I would say Start Again. because that song is about starting a new life and leaving people behind that you never thought you'd have to. And despite how much I love the song, there was a large part of anxiety and worry, which I still get today when releasing
Yeah.
music. You know, you spend so much time in the studio recording, creating something that means so much to you. And then on a midnight on a Friday, it's no longer yours. And and it's weird because you never know how your music will be received or if people will even care. But all I try and do is be authentic with my songs and put everything into songs and hope that people will connect to them and enjoy them. And then when I played a gig in Liverpool, which was in April, um, I got when I was playing Start Again during the chorus, everyone joined in, which was just a dream moment, which I
Yeah.
think so many musicians dream of, and it was surreal.
Yeah, yeah, I bet I'm obviously, seeing quite a few bands, and when that happens, you can just see there's just something that, in the eyes that just light up, for the artist. So yeah, I can totally understand where you're coming from, and
Yeah, yeah.
can
It
only
was
really imagine
fantastic.
what that feeling must be, what that feeling must be like. But also as well, when you're writing your songs, then how do you know? How let me rephrase that. How did you know that Made of Moments or any of the releases that you've put out so far, to be fair, but how do you know that that song is the next one that you want to put out for us to listen? What's your thought process on that?
Um, the thought process was with Start Again. I thought that'd be a good song to put out first, with it almost being like a journey of starting a new life. Wrote, even though Start Again is about starting a new life, I'd already written Made of Moments, 180 Degrees, and Name That Rhymes. Before that, I wrote Start Again probably about 14 or 15 months after the original events that had happened in my life. So it took a long time to get all the emotion out into the song, but I thought it was a good starting point of where you begin your new life and when you move away from your hometown to go to university and leave the people behind that you always thought you'd have with you.
Yeah, yeah, no, sure. I can not. I can understand that because that's a big thing, right? Move, starting. Well, yeah, starting again.
Exactly.
Pardon the pun there, but do you know what I mean in terms of moving away and trying to do something scary. And I can relate to that in terms of not necessarily of university, but trying to start a new job or whatever. What's it going to be like? So yeah, I can definitely understand with where you're coming from on those lyrics. So let's move away from the studio, because obviously I know we touched on earlier the gig that you had in Liverpool earlier on this year, but I'm going to sort of look into the future a little bit with this next question, because on the 27th of September at the Lions Den in Manchester is your next gig. So yeah, can you just give us a little bit of information about the night?
So that's with Scruff of the Neck, who've been really, really supportive of my musical journey so far, and they've given me some great opportunities to perform in some great venues in Manchester, such as the Deaf Institute, which
Yeah.
is a fantastic venue. And yeah, that's for their summer showcase with a lot of rising artists. It's a really, really good bill. There's some really good artists on there. So it should be a really good night. They're doing a series of the gigs actually. So I think mine is the penultimate one on the
Right.
27th of September. But I know there's definitely a few going on this month and in September as well.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll put that link for your show in the episode bio for people to hopefully come down and catch you live. But obviously, at the minute when you are playing, when you're releasing your music at the minute, obviously it's your acoustic guitar. Presumably, that's how it's going to be for the live show.
Well, we're mixing things up actually. I've
Oh,
been working with a lead guitarist. So the first EP and the singles that are out now is obviously me and an acoustic guitar, but
yeah.
the next releases will be me with my lead guitarist Bobby, who is a great musician. I just give him the chords, and within 10-15 minutes he's got a solo, and I'm like, I have no idea how you do it, but it sounds great.
Brilliant. Absolutely love that. That sounds great. So do you think that you might expand that in the future to maybe like, full band, no bass and drums as well? Or at a minute, do you think it'll just, for the foreseeable future, maybe it's just going to be yourself and Bobby on the lead guitar there?
At the minute, I'm very happy with where it's at. We've had a good few rehearsals now, and there'll be a lot more before the live show coming up on the 27th of September. It would be something that I would look at expanding, but for now, I'm happy with the sound that me and Bobby are creating, and I hope that people enjoy it as much as I do.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm sure that they're going to, and good luck with that because I've come across scruff of the neck quite a bit myself in the last sort of 12 to 15 months or so, and yeah, they're obviously doing some great stuff at the moment. So yeah, good luck with it, and good luck to those guys as well. So we're just going to move away from you a little bit as an artist. We're going to move on to some sort of questions that we generally ask every This Is the Music guest. This is the Music Meets podcast guest. So say designed a couple of questions just to sort of find out a little bit more about you, a little bit more lighthearted, and help the listeners find out a little bit more about you. So the first question is, what artists on the underground, new music scene have you been checking out over the last 12 months?
So one of them has been Shader, who I was lucky enough to support at Disorder in Manchester. That
Yeah,
was a really good gig, and I was just on my own with an acoustic guitar there, but the sound that they were creating made me want to branch out into different sounds and look at adding lead guitar in and stuff like that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they were really supportive. They really enjoyed my set. They're a great bunch of lads, so I'd definitely say Shader.
yeah. Top band.
Another one would be Alex Spencer, who is another Manchester lad. He's just announced a UK tour, actually.
Yeah,
He's done some really good support slots with the Lathams, Jamie Webster. His music's really good. He's also been very supportive of my music and my journey, so I get on well with him. I touched on obviously the Royston Club before. I know they're signed and they're obviously quite big, but if anyone hasn't checked them out, I definitely would, because that album that they've released, it definitely doesn't have one bad track on it.
there you go. Well, three fantastic recommendations there, I have to say. And yeah, as you've quite rightly said there, if you haven't checked out any of those, obviously I mean at the Royston Club, but obviously if you haven't checked out any of those artists, then yeah, really check them out because they are top draw. So the next question is, you're allowed to see one final song from your favourite artist in your favourite venue. Who are you choosing?
Oh, it'd have to be something by it would probably be Noel Gallagher doing Half the World Away.
Nice, lovely, loving that. And
That is definitely my favourite song of all time.
yeah, it's
So
class.
yeah, it would have to be that. And venue, I don't know. There'd be something great about hearing it at Wembley, but there'd also be something good about if it was just a really small, intimate venue
Yeah,
for such an acoustic song like Half the World Away.
yeah, no, definitely. I must admit, I never used. I wasn't really sure. I never really quite understood it when people used to say, "Oh, those small gigs are the better ones." Small venues because the bands have to work a little bit harder, but they can obviously see the whites of the crowd's eyes and everything. And the more that you go to these smaller venues, you can start to understand that. So, I mean, I think that song would sound great anywhere, but I think yeah, for me, in a nice little intimate small venue would be superb.
Yeah, I went to a Liam Frey gig, who's a frontman of the Coltinas, and there was only about 200 people in the room. I won tickets, I was in work when I used to work at a pub, and I got an email on my phone, and it was like, "You've got like 10 minutes to secure your ticket." So I sloped off, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that'll be great." But that was another phenomenal gig. Liam Frey, just him and an acoustic guitar, and then I've seen the Cortinas as a full band in massive venues such as Heaton Park and at Transmit in Glasgow this summer as well. But Liam Frey on his own is absolutely fantastic as well.
Yeah, I've not seen him on his own actually. I've just seen the Cortinas, lots and lots of times, and they're just one of those bands that, just always deliver, know how to get the crowd working. Obviously got some absolute belters, but yeah, I need to maybe try and add that to a bucket list to catch him live somewhere acoustically soon. So what are your top three albums of all time? And obviously, those that are watching this either on our YouTube, or if you're watching I think we're going to put this as a Spotify video, but if you're listening to it on audio, you won't be able to see this, but just over Elijah's shoulder there, he's got a few selections. So I'm guessing that you're probably going to have a couple of choices from
two of them are on there.
Yeah.
And I think the other one, sadly, hasn't been released on vinyl, because whenever I go on the internet and try and find it, it just comes up with CDs. So, which isn't very good. But yeah, my top three albums of all time is the first Noel Gallagher High Flying Birds one.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a bad song on that. And I think the way Noel experiments with a new sound, as well as he replicates some of the older Oasis sounds with songs such as Everybody's on the Run, which is a great, great song. What a Life is fantastic as well. And seeing them performed at Kendall Call-In as well, just it was definitely in the top three.
Yeah.
Number two, this is the one that isn't on vinyl, but it's an album I grew up with a lot, and it's Paolo Nutini, These Streets, his debut album, which, again, I don't think there's one bad song on that. And obviously he's just started doing a lot more of his older stuff live, such as Last Request, which is obviously a real treat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the versatility that Paolo shows in his music, you have something as stripped back and relaxed as Last Request, but then you also have something very upbeat, such as Jenny, Don't Be Hasty, which is a fantastic song. But he does need to get that on vinyl, because it's the one that I am missing from my collection.
You're going to have to get yourself a little petition.
Yeah, I think I might. And then number one for me has to be What's the Story, Morning Glory by Oasis.
Yeah.
As a Manchester lad, you can't escape Oasis, and it's one of the first vinyls I bought. And I think the beauty of vinyl is you listen to the songs as the album. There's no skip button on it like there is on Spotify, and I think it does tell a real story.
Yeah.
When I first listened to each song back to back. So that is definitely my number one album of all time, and I doubt that'll change.
Love that. Well, three fantastic choices. And yeah, you're just saying there about, the skipping stuff. I mean, obviously Spotify's done some great stuff, but there's obviously that, that temptation there, isn't there? If there's a song you don't like, just to do it. But that is the beauty really of your physical copies. And, you can't beat having a physical copy in your hands and, and looking right into the art effectively that artist has produced. So can't beat that side of things. So you've got an opportunity to record your next single, whatever it might be, and you've got an opportunity to invite any artists that you want to come and record a little guitar part for you on the track. So who would be your dream collaboration?
That is a very difficult question, because there's so many great guitarists who I would love to have. I'm not going to say no, because even as good as he is, I do think there is better guitarists out there. So it would probably have to be Johnny Marr.
Oh,
for a guitar part. I think the Smiths are incredible, and I think Johnny Marr's lyrics and his guitar parts are fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And he almost like it's like the guitar's talking to you, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. You know what I mean? It just sounds it's so it makes it look so easy as well when he's up there playing it, and you're just
yeah,
like how
exactly.
have you managed
I,
to do that?
I was watching that pedal show where he goes through all his guitars and his kit, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which song it was now. And he was like, oh, I've not played it in about 15, 20 years. And he just went on and nailed that like every note. And I was just blown away. He is a phenomenal musician, Johnny Marr. He's fantastic.
He is, and I think one of the things when you watch that, and also as well that book that he had come out, was at the back end of last year, I think. Now God, I'm not probably getting my years mixed up a little bit, but just the obvious passion, even now, you know what, 40 odd years on from when the Smiths first come out, that passion for playing the guitar is clearly still there in him.
Yeah, I saw him support Cortinas at Old Trafford in 2021, and he was absolutely brilliant live as well. Considering he wasn't the lead singer in the Smiths, his vocals have
Mm.
definitely come on in the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years since he's been doing his solo stuff for
Yeah,
when he covers the Smith songs live.
yeah, agree, definitely with you on that. So we've got a bit of a silly question for you now. So let's see if this one works or not. It's the first time I've asked it on the podcast, so we'll see how we get on with this one. So you are in a gladiatorial style arena, and in front of you there are 10 crocodiles, three brown bears, 15 wolves, one hunter with a rifle, seven buffaloes, five gorillas, and four lions. You've got to pick two to defend you. The others are attacking you. You have 1 hour to survive. So yeah, what two animals? Now that I've read that out loud, I'm not quite sure this is really going to work. But there you go. We'll see. So yeah, what two animals are you picking to defend you in a sort of like life and death situation type thing?
Oh, I can't even remember half the animals to be honest.
There was a few in there, weren't there? And I said animals. We've got a man. So we've got crocodiles, uh, brown bears, wolves, a hunter with a rifle, buffaloes, gorillas, and lions.
I'd definitely say bears,
Yeah.
and then it'd either be a toss up between gorillas or lions. So my uncle used to work with gorillas, and like he said that you think that they'd be like superhuman strength, but then almost just think like 3 or 4 times what that actually is. Like he said that the strength that they have is absolutely crazy.
Wow. Okay. Right. Well, there you go. We've heard it here first.
Aye.
So yeah, no more daft questions, I promise. After that, and maybe we'll scrap that on the podcast for future as well. I'm not sure. But yeah, really, obviously you've had a very, very busy 2024 so far with the release, sort of first, set of releases, which obviously have been extremely, well received, and obviously you've had a few gigs, and obviously you've got the showcase that we mentioned earlier with Scruff of the Neck next month. But what other plans, have you got in store for the rest of 2024?
So it'll definitely involve some studio time, getting the next batch of releases all sorted and ready. I definitely want to up my social media game a lot more as well. That's what you see a lot of artists doing these days, and that is the way of the world. It's not as simple as putting an album out. It's a lot of it is social media based now. And then I've got a couple of gigs lined up. I've got one in Liverpool in October, and then I've got another one in Manchester in November. So I'll be announcing them very shortly. I'm really looking forward to all three of the gigs that I've got coming up this year. And then it'll definitely be looking on and moving forward into the next year with more releases, more gigs, and hopefully getting a degree as well.
Wow. Wow. Well, you've obviously got a very, very busy time on all fronts.
Hmm.
Really, what's your being nosy? What's your degree in?
It's journalism.
Wow. Okay. Well, you can definitely give me a few tips, I think, because I probably need them. But look, Elijah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Unfortunately, we have reached the end of the This Is the Music Meets podcast. Thank you so much for coming on and telling your story and being a brilliant guest. I've really, really enjoyed it. And it's great to actually meet you face to face, well, virtually at least, instead of just chatting over social media. But before I do let you go, can you let the This Is the Music listeners know the social media platforms that they can find you on?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Elijah W. Jenkins, and then my Spotify is just Elijah Jenkins. Instagram is my main social media. I'll be trying to post a bit more on TikTok and other platforms, but Instagram and Spotify are the two main ones.
Sure. Okay, brilliant. Well, look, we'll put those links in the episode bio, along as well with the link to the brand new single, Made of Moments. And of course, as well as mentioned earlier, the ticket link for the gig at Lions Den in Manchester on the 27th of September. Elijah, as I say, thanks very much for coming on and being a great guest. I really wish you continued success with everything. You're a great kid. And I think as well that you are a fantastic artist. So keep on with it. And yeah, look forward to seeing what's coming up for you next.
Thank you very much for having me on, Mark.
And all that leaves me to say is to thank everyone for tuning in to the latest This Is the Music Meets podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on any brand new episodes. And if you're loving the podcast, then show us some love by leaving us a rating and written review, as it really does help the artists we interview to be discovered. If you are listening to the latest episode on Spotify or Apple Podcast, then stay tuned, as at the end of this episode, you'll be able to hear Elijah Jenkins' new single, Made of Moments. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you very, very soon for another episode of the This Is the Music Meets podcast.
Close my eyes and you're not there. I find myself asking, do you really care? So hold the line, but are you really mine? Sit a while for something that I want to do. Are made of your moments that I was chasing yesterday. I look into your promised eyes. You know that I won't think twice. Oh, it's not up to me, but it's up to you. Won't you take away the pain when I'm dreaming of yesterday? 'Cause I drove my height just to see your face tonight. I'll call your number when you pick up the line. Whoa, tell me, are you too shy? 'Cause when I'm with you, oh, it is like a new high. So hold the line.
was chasing yesterday. I look into